What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, some of you guys on Twitter, Instagram, text messages, some people send me funny boxing related comics and jokes and memes, caption pictures. I did receive this one, and it was from Fight Memes. Someone sent me it. Shout out to Fight Memes on Instagram, follow them. And I thought it was rather funny. It's a picture of Adrien Broner. He's wearing like a grill, and it says beats Paulie Malignaggi by split decision. Says he doesn't want to give Floyd Mayweather his first loss, and obviously the joke is basically stating since he had problems with Paulie Malignaggi, a light puncher and someone who's not really on the level of a Mayweather at 147, someone who's considered to be a weak champion. How on earth would he give Mayweather his first loss? So I try not to get too deep off into side politics and propaganda, and I really don't want to pit Adrien Broner versus Mayweather against each other because both of them said they don't want the fight, they don't want to fight each other. But I read a lot of comments, and I like Adrien Broner. Obviously, I like Floyd Mayweather Jr. as well. But at this level, I think this meme is pretty true. I don't think Adrien Broner showed enough that would lead me to believe that he could beat Mayweather at 147. I mean, Mayweather's been in there with bigger punchers or big punchers in higher weight divisions. People like Ricky Hatton, who's a strong puncher at 140. People like Cotto, who's strong at 147. Also fought at 154. People like Shane Mosley's. I just didn't see enough. Now, if Mayweather were to decline and Adrien Broner advances his skills in the future, possibly. I still think Broner is a good fighter, but as of right now, if they were to fight right after the Canelo fight, unless something drastic changes, I don't see Broner beating Mayweather. Um, Mainly because if you look at Paulie Malignaggi, and this is the thing, people are saying, "Oh, Marcos Maidana is going to run through Broner, or he has no punching power," la yada. But styles make fights, and if you look at it, to make Broner look bad, I think you have to do exactly what Paulie Malignaggi did. I still think Broner won the fight. However, Paulie Malignaggi has a chin, which is always money in the bank. I mean, having a good chin against a strong puncher is definitely an asset to you. He used a lot of movement, lateral movement, slipping his punches, and he had a high volume of punches early. He started to slow down mid to late rounds, but early on he pressed the attack. He showed that he wasn't afraid of Broner, and ultimately that was his formula. His volume of punches, just overall ring generalship and IQ, and movement. Now, you pit Broner against someone like Marcos Maidana, I see that being a different fight. Maidana could hurt Broner for sure, but at the same time, Maidana is not going to do half of the things that Paulie Malignaggi did. Marcos Maidana is not necessarily a fast fighter in terms of hand speed, in terms of foot speed. He's not really a high volume puncher like Paulie Malignaggi displayed against Broner. So realistically, that's a completely different fight. Marcos Maidana could beat Broner based on the fact of if Broner doesn't, if Maidana doesn't respect Broner's power, then he's going to try to walk him down and he might land something big. However, Maidana is susceptible to body shots, and it's very apparent who follows the sport of boxing and who's more of a surface area fan based on some of your comments. Again, with Paulie Malignaggi, I think that is the best way to beat Broner, a guy like Broner. If you look at Broner's struggle with Daniel Ponce de Leon, Ponce de Leon is a fighter with power in both hands. He's a southpaw. In addition to that, he used good movement and just overall boxing, and he was aggressive. I think that is the style that could give problems to Broner. Now, when I look at Mayweather versus Broner, Mayweather is a very complete, overall well-rounded fighter, and if he used movement and the same movement that he used against Robert Guerrero, I see Broner having problems because I think Mayweather moves more fluidly than Paulie Malignaggi at this age of Paulie Malignaggi's career, and it looked like Broner was having trouble cutting off the ring and tracking down Paulie Malignaggi. And on top of that fact, I think Mayweather hits harder than Paulie Malignaggi. On top of that, Mayweather is probably perhaps one of the most accurate punchers in the game. So, all in all, I don't see Broner beating Floyd Mayweather if they were to fight. I highly, highly doubt that they will fight. But then again, boxing sometimes is like WWE, WWF, whatever you guys like to refer to it as, and you never know. Friends become enemies, things happen. The media is obviously trying to pit the two against each other. Floyd has 5 fights after Canelo, or 4 fights after he fights Canelo. The media is going to try to hype it. Fans are going to try to hype it. Both fighters said no matter what amount of money, it wouldn't be good enough. But like I said, things change. Tupac and Biggie were once friends, and Tupac said he let Biggie stay with him, and then Hit 'Em Up comes out later on, years later. So who knows? Things change. Um, I just don't see Broner beating somebody like Floyd Mayweather, and that's just Floyd Mayweather's elusiveness. He's very crafty, his movement, and he has more respectable power than someone like Paulie Malignaggi. He does everything Paulie Malignaggi does, but better, and there's more force and accuracy behind it. Similar to Juan Manuel Marquez versus Pacquiao. If Marquez is giving problems to Pacquiao, then what would Mayweather do to Pacquiao? And I look at it kind of in the same regard. Not that they're the same fighter, but Marquez has usually fought as smaller weights than Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather has longer arms than Marquez. Mayweather is a faster fighter in terms of foot speed, hand speed. He has way better footwork. He's a better counterpuncher than Marquez. He's quicker with his reflexes. I would say his ring IQ and ring generalship is higher. He's more accurate. So again, when people were talking about Mayweather versus Pacquiao, this is why they feel Mayweather would win. The people that did feel that, it's because Marquez does everything really good, and Mayweather is a notch above that, in my opinion, in terms of what Mayweather brings to the table. And you've seen how Marquez gave Pacquiao problems every single time that they fought. So I view this in the same way. If Paulie Malignaggi were to fight Adrien Broner, or Paulie Malignaggi fought Adrien Broner and gave him problems, then what would Mayweather do utilizing the same tactics? Now, Broner, it was his first fight at a new weight division. He jumped up 2 weights. Props to him for that, for being young and taking on the challenge. However, it's going to be harder to get somebody with more experience, more pop, and in essence, the same skills that Paulie Malignaggi has and more. So I just don't see Broner beating Floyd Mayweather at this particular juncture. Like I said, it's boxing. Anything can happen. We have to see what happens with Canelo versus Mayweather. Another good fight. For Broner, I've said it time and time again. I think Broner needs to work on clowning around less. I don't care about inside or outside of the ring. That's not really my beef. I mean, he's going to be his own person. But inside the ring, get firm control over the fights before you want to showboat and try to quote unquote put on a show. You're trying to talk shit to Paulie Malignaggi in the ring, and Paulie Malignaggi was swinging. He's throwing. He's racking up points. He's outscoring you. He's outpointing you. So I seen in the Gavin Reese fight, I think that's a very, very bad strategy for Broner to not be dominating the fight and still trying to show off. And then you look at people like Mikey Garcia, who is almost the polar opposite of Adrien Broner. Just very humble. He was dominating Salido, knocked him down multiple times. He didn't showboat. He wasn't talking shit in the ring. He just kind of he just punched in and did what he had to do and won that fight versus Broner, who's going to be a little bit more over the top. Like I said, I understand putting on a show. Muhammad Ali is one of my favorite fighters of all time, and he was a showman, but I don't feel Muhammad Ali. I think Muhammad Ali's different. It was a different era. This was before boxing was a huge industry and business like it is. Muhammad Ali was one of the first to taunt his opponents, talk shit, the rhyming, all of that. So I put Muhammad Ali in a different caliber, in a category than everybody. But as far as Broner, I think he needs to work on showing off less and doing the showboating less when he doesn't have the fight under control. And in addition to that, I think he needs to work on cutting off the ring. And a perfect example of this, of a young fighter that cuts off the ring very well, I would say is Brandon Rios. However, the only downside to Brandon Rios is he's more one dimensional in other categories. But how he cuts off the ring is excellent. He's great with applying pressure, forcing his opponent into exchanges, etc., etc. Whereas Adrien Broner, I think he can work on that. He has a lot of skill, a lot of talent, but as far as tracking his opponent down and forcing him into the fight that benefits you, I think some of that's going to come with time, and he's going to have to keep having tough challenges, maybe even a loss, but tough challenges nonetheless, like Paulie Malignaggi, to bring that aspect of his game out. Let me know what you guys think, Adrien Broner versus Floyd Mayweather. If that fight, which most likely won't happen, if it were to happen, who would you favor and why? As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video's Ego, signing off.